We are back
for a minute
for another episode of Get a Load of This, if we can stand each other. From the Silver Creek Studios.
Getting heated.
I'm Jarod.
I'm Ryan.
And we're already fired up. Ryan's ready
Call
to...
me Dr. Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got to explain to our audience why we're yelling at each other already.
We always try to come up with topical things or whatever. And we talked about talking about this last week, and we decided not to because, I don't know, I thought it was boring. But about the virus, the coronavirus, COVID-19, the flu, Asian flu, Wuhan flu, whatever you want to call it, all the things you're not supposed to call it because it could be offensive to Wuhanians or Chinese people, whatever, fuck them. They need to stop eating weird shit off the street, and then we wouldn't be in this problem to begin with. Just one man's opinion. So we're going to talk about it now because apparently, I mean, we all know, if you've been listening for any significant period of time, we all know that Jarod's got some abstract beliefs when it comes to medical care. I'm
so crazy.
No. Would
so
you agree that abstract? I just said abstract. I didn't say crazy.
Well, okay.
I didn't say crazy. I didn't say out there. I just said abstract. Different than the norm.
Sure.
You are not.
I suppose it would be
within the majority.
I think it's more normal than you think it is, but okay.
Okay, but you're not in the majority of Americans.
I guess, yeah, I would probably have to concede that.
Okay. So whether you're right or wrong, or, is to be determined, right?
Tonight.
But I don't know that we'll be able to have that jury weigh in on this tonight, but I would encourage people to let us know their opinions on this topic. So we're sitting here talking about, vaccinations and is there any value in getting a flu shot? And Jarod stands by, and despite the current state of the health world, stands by his earlier claims that vaccinations are not a wise choice.
Well, I didn't say that they're not necessarily wise or that they don't work. I didn't say that, but I said, I don't know exactly.
I think you did.
No. Well, okay. I mean, what I think is, I know people, and everyone knows people who had not gotten vaccinations before and decide, you know what, I'm going to start doing it. Everybody says I should do it. They got a vaccination and they got the flu a week later or whatever. And everybody blows that off and says, oh, well, no, that's a different strain of the flu. You just got a different one. Or, oh, well, your body's susceptible for a few days because you got vaccinated and it's your body's way of handling. Fuck it. I don't care why. I got the flu a week after getting the vaccination. I didn't. People who say this.
Okay, well, let's stop there. Let's use that example. Let's focus on that one for a second. So that example that you've given, I think you're right. There are certainly examples of people who go and they get their flu shot, and then a week later, a few days later, they're sick. Yeah. And we think that they have the flu.
Right.
Now, they could have any number of things. They could have another strain of the flu. Yeah. They could just have a little stomach bug because they got a little, petri dish of a child that wanders around a preschool and then comes home and sneezes on them. It could not be the flu at all. It could be no strain of the flu.
I guess.
Could be food poisoning. Could be any number of things. But we're going to make the leap of faith, in your view.
Right.
We're going to make the leap of faith that they got the shot, and then they got sick. The shot must have caused the sick. That's what you're saying.
I mean,
so that goes. I said it earlier tonight. Post hoc ergo propter. Just because ergo propter hoc. Just because one thing happened after the first doesn't mean the first thing caused the second.
Just because I drank water in Mexico and then had diarrhea doesn't mean that the diarrhea became from the water in Mexico.
It doesn't.
Of course not. I mean, why would you think
it's
that?
Likely in that case, but that's the different example altogether. We're not. Those are not parallel examples. They're not.
I feel like it's parallel.
They're not.
I ingested something and later came down with something directly caused by that, and you're saying it's not related at all.
You're talking about these singular instances of I did something and I got sick. I did something and I got so we could take each. I mean, how many cases of the flu have there been this year? We talked about that earlier. Millions of just the regular influenza.
Yeah,
there's been millions of them.
Right.
So we could take each one of these and break them down and be like, well, this person shouldn't have. This person should have.
Right. Well, and I asked you that question. We saw some statistics that said this season alone, and the season is the winter months, whatever that is, October
flu
to now.
Season. Yeah.
30 million people have gotten the flu. Now, what we don't see is any statistics that say how many of those people got a vaccination or didn't get a vaccination or whatever, right? We don't know the details.
We also don't know what version of the flu they got.
Yeah,
if there's 18 varieties. I don't know all that shit. I don't know how many there are out there, and I don't think And fuck, doctors might not even
But we
know.
act like it's a shit ton of people that are getting the vaccination. I'm this weird minority of people that aren't doing it. Okay. Then why did 30 million people get the flu this season, just in the last few months?
Well, so you've asked questions that we don't know the answer to.
Right.
How many of those 30 million did not get vaccinated?
We don't know.
How many of those people did get vaccinated and they have a weak immune system because they're elderly or they're a small child or they just have a weak immune system?
Which is exactly who we say should go get the vaccination, is the elderly and kids.
But also what you don't know, and this is part of the problem with science, is that if you're not in the midst of a scientific study, you don't know how many of those cases were prevented. How many people got the shot, were actually exposed to the flu, and did not get sick, and potentially didn't die because they had that shot. We don't know that. But we can make the leap of faith because there have been studies done to prove the effectiveness of the flu vaccination and other vaccinations like polio and smallpox and that kind of thing. So we know that studies have been done that show that if you get this and you're exposed, it improves your chances of not contracting the virus. So your examples, your one-off examples, I mean, there's always going to be the outlier. Maybe there's in a cases of 30 million people infected by the flu, maybe there's thousands of outliers, but it's still a small percentage. So the overall effect on the health of a society is exponentially greater than your one example.
I'm saying, why, if I can't remember the last time I had the flu, and I've never been vaccinated, why, and we seemingly, because every time someone brings up the point I just brought up, it was like, well, it may have weakened your immune system and you got a different strain at that time. Okay, why would I subject my immune system to being weakened from this shot when I've never had it from not getting vaccinated? I can't remember the last time I had the flu, so I'm obviously not at risk, or I'm doing my job of washing my hands and cleaning the shit that I touch.
We know you're a germaphobe. We know that you don't go in the bathroom in public places.
Why am I going to risk weakening my immune system with a vaccination?
I don't know that
maybe
I think
it.
that I don't know that it's weakening your immune system.
Well, everybody says that's what happens.
I don't think when
I say, well, my uncle got it after he got a shot.
I've never heard it say that it weakens your immune system. What I've heard is that it introduces the culture of that virus. So it's a I don't want to call
I've absolutely heard people say it weaken.
I'm not disputing that you hear that. I'm just saying I don't recall hearing it that way. I've always heard it put like, well, you're introducing the bug. Like they take the flu virus and they kind of defang it or whatever they do in a lab, and then they inject it into you. Right, and they inject it into you. So the chances of you getting a little bit sick after getting that are high. It could happen that you're going to get a little bit sick, but that little bit sick is way better than getting the fucking flu. That's the argument that doctors would make, and I think that
I don't know.
The majority of people are comfortable with.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a thing. Like, well, you're going to get a form of flu, but it'll be weaker and not as bad.
You're going to feel a bit yucky for a day or two because you've introduced this thing into your system.
Well, that's not what I'm talking about. But okay.
The idea behind a vaccination is that your body recognizes this foreign object, and then it produces a bunch of white blood cells that go off, and they say, all right, we got to go to war, and they go and they kill that thing. And now those white blood cells report back, and they say, hey, we just found this motherfucker over here who was trying to do some bad shit, tells you the rest of your body, so the rest of your body is now more prepared for the next wave of that same thing.
Well, let's get to the part that we really got fired up over, because this isn't even it yet. So I believe you made the point of, why would my doctor want me to come in and get a vaccination?
Right.
If he, why would he lie to me about the effectiveness of this or whatever?
What good is there to come from a doctor telling me to get a shot when he knows that it doesn't do me any good?
So I had kind of two main points or arguments to that. One is money. Doctors only get paid when you walk through their door and come in for treatment, whether it's preventative treatment or, to treat after the fact. That's the only way they make money, is if you are a patient. So of course there's a financial benefit to them saying, yeah, you should come into the office and get vaccinated. So you should bring your whole family in.
Doctors are greedy. They're gonna keep pumping you full of bad stuff so you get sick, so you come back, despite the Hippocratic Oath.
Or if they think it doesn't do anything, they're like, hey, you should absolutely come in and take this water shot.
All in cahoots. They're all gonna.
No, they're not in cahoots together. They don't necessarily go to a convention and go, "Here's how we're going to do this."
But
it's
the
just
majority
the
of doctors, like not even the majority, a plurality of doctors agree that it's a smart thing to get inoculated.
I'm saying like
upwards of 95%.
A dentist might really push a filling that maybe you didn't need, or we're going to pull this tooth, or we're going to do this extra thorough cleaning that you really need.
So do you think doctors that tell you to floss are lying to you because they want you to fuck up your gums so you have to come back more often? That's kind of what you're saying, though.
Doctors that tell you to floss
Dentists
are lying?
that tell you to floss, or they're doing it because it's actually bad for you, and they just want you to keep coming back.
I don't know. I'm saying I know two of my best friends are dentists, and they've
brought enough beer for
they've told me like it's a problem in the industry that there are dentists who push treatment on people that don't necessarily need it, because that's the only way they get paid, is to have you keep coming back for shit. They said it's a thing, and like that's a moral dilemma that doctors have out there, that even subconsciously, like you have to go. Anyway, I feel like I'm not talking crazy here. And I brought up, even if I'm not saying they're all malicious or greedy or whatever. I'm saying that's part of it. But I think that, and this is where you really thought I was insane, is I think they're taught this in medical school. This is the treatment for this. This is the only way. I think the example I gave was just made up, but it was like, the only way to treat cancer is chemotherapy and radiation. That's the only way.
Right.
And I took it to the extreme of saying, don't even bother with these other treatments. Don't prescribe, homeopathic this or neo that or blah, blah, blah.
Stem cell,
I think that's absolutely a thing. They are being told from the moment they walk into school that this is how it's done. And it's the same thing with the autism and vaccination argument. Like, how dare you even consider the fact that don't ever tell anybody that vaccinations cause this, because it's total bullshit and blah, 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 blah. Like, okay, everybody is accepting of that. Like, doctors would say don't ever even think about considering this other option or possibility because it's so ridiculous.
Look, I can't speak to we talked about this last time. The speaking in absolutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, okay.
So I'm going to say that I don't know how every doctor, what they've said, or what every medical professor or medical school teacher has ever said. But I will say that I can say with a huge degree of confidence that the majority of professors and doctors are not out there trying to they're not out there trying to bilk you out of your money. Number one, they're trying to make money, certainly, but they can make plenty of money without playing shenanigans like that. Because people just going to get fucking sick.
Yeah,
people are fat. People have habits that are bad for them. People just they
for sure
they have natural things that come up that they need to be treated for without the flu. That's going to happen. Things are going to happen organically. So the money thing, I'm taking these one at a time, and we're going to get back to the second point in a second.
Yep.
So the money thing and just the greed of doctors, and that they're encouraging you to get a shot so that you remain sick, so that you keep coming back to them. I think that's, on the face of it, easily disproven, because there's enough business for them without doing anything like that. Furthermore, they do take an oath. I know that there are certainly doctors that aren't necessarily the most upstanding and have the most definitive moral compass, but I think the majority of them do. And the majority of those doctors would advocate for vaccinations.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything nefarious there amongst the medical community.
Right.
Now, take the second point about med school professors saying there's only one way to do this. This is and that's how they teach classes. That is absolutely the wrong way that science is taught. Science, on the face of it, is experimentation and proving and disproving.
I don't think they're teaching science in med school. They're teaching science.
You heard that here first. Say that again.
Classes.
Say that again.
They're not teaching science in medical school.
Jarod.
They're teaching treatment.
Jarod.
This is how we do this.
Jarod, think about what you just said.
Okay.
They're not teaching science in med
clarify?
school.
Say it again.
They're not. I'll say it for you.
They're
not teaching science in med school.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, I don't know that. I didn't go to med school.
No, neither did I,
said
but
that
you know that
earlier.
they're
I don't
teaching
know
science.
exactly what they're doing, but I guarantee you they're pushing this is the treatment for this. This is how it works. And you followed up on that by saying this is what studies have shown is effective in the treatments of that. And I would say, okay,
so
fine.
That's what I think professors would say. And if if you talk to 10 doctors, they're going to say, I've read this study, I've read that study, and the studies that I've seen have shown that this is the most effective treatment. Another doctor may say, yes, I agree with that, but I've also read a study that says that this experimental treatment they're doing down in Argentina, it actually has a pretty high success rate too, but it's not yet approved, and there's not enough samples, there's not enough testing been done on it yet. But I would say that a doctor that says that there is one way and one way only, and I'm not going to explore any other options, is a bad doctor.
Well, okay.
And there's out there. There certainly is. I mean, but they graduated from like the fucking med school of Upper Antigua or some shit like that.
I'm saying doctors and medical schools are not encouraging you to go out and try the scientific method of
yes, they are.
Trial and error to say we're going to try this treatment and then we're going to do that. And we've heard that you would like
totally incorrect, Jared. That is exactly what is going on in WashU Medical School. That is exactly what's going on in SLU Medical School.
There absolutely are scientists who are experimenting with shit and trying to figure out cures to this or whatever. That's not med school.
Yeah,
that's not cranking out nurses and doctors who are sitting in a lab trying to figure out this is what.
I think if you were to go look into it, let me give you an example, and I'll tell everybody a story here real quick. I have had skin problems my entire life. Okay. I had bad acne when I was a teenager. It still plagues me today. I got 2 fucking pimples on my forehead. It's been driving me nuts. I must be stressed out lately. Don't know what's going on. But I've just bad genes. I've had bad skin. So whenever I was a teenager, I went to a dermatologist. They treated me with a bunch of shit that didn't work first. And then eventually, we did Accutane, and before Accutane was as popular as it is today, it was a scary drug back then, and it worked. So then I thought I was cured. I had scars and shit, but I was pretty much cured. And then later, as an adult, I started to get these weird things on my arms, and then I had one on the side of my head, and it was like a flaky patch of skin, and it was almost like a small speck of being sunburnt and how it peels. Right. So I went to my dermatologist, and he says, well, I don't know what the hell it is. Took a biopsy, sent it off for test. Inconclusive. A test. You followed me there, right? Yeah. So they took a biopsy, they sent it off to a lab, they ran a test on it, couldn't come up with anything. They took another sample out of my arm. First one was out of my head, one was out of my arm. They probably took I'd say 8 or 10 biopsies out of me. Every single one of them came back as just kind of inconclusive, like it was just some type of dermatitis or something like that. So they kept throwing different ointments and drugs at me, and nothing was working and making them go away. And as a matter of fact, things were getting worse as it was progressing a little bit. Just not bigger, but they were just becoming more spots on my arms and my torso. So finally, my dermatologist said, I'm out of ideas, and I'm kind of tired of taking chunks of skin out of you for biopsies, and I'm sure not happy about it either. I said, yeah, I'm kind of tired of it too. He says, I'm going to send you to something they call the Grand Rounds. And the Grand Rounds is it's a round table, and so it's a WashU Medical School. It's all the medical professors. It's the finest dermatologists in the region, and I think it's once a month, maybe it's once a quarter. They meet and they do this thing called Grand Rounds, and so other doctors around the region can advocate for you to be in front of the Grand Rounds, and if they present the case, they'll say they're going to take a look at you. And on that day, all these patients with weird shit like me, we go into a doctor's office, and we're met with probably 15 doctors. They keep coming. They're lined up outside, and I'm sitting there with a gown on, and they're looking at my chest and my arms and my head and looking at these sores, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, and they're taking notes. And sometimes they come in 2 at a time. Sometimes they have an assistant with them, a med student that's not practicing science,
right?
And they come in and they take all these notes, and then they go off and they sit literally at a round table, and they take us case by case, and they discuss what they think is the issue. With my case, I forget how many of them came up with. I think it was one doctor came up with this idea that it might be something called, this is going to sound gross, but it's called pemphigus vulgaris is what I actually had. And that basically means that my body was rejecting my skin cells. So Why? We don't know. They said it could be any number of things. Could be from when you're a child and the drugs and shit that they had you on to get you to stop having acne. It could be that you've had a really bad sunburn and your immune system is trying to, just like you do when you peel, your body's trying to get rid of the stuff that was damaged, and your body is confused. And so even though your skin's not damaged, it's still trying to get rid of it. So it could be that, but we don't know what caused it, but we think we know how to fix it. So we're going to give you this drug called Cellcept. And it's a drug that we give to organ donor recipients. And the intention of the drug is to help the body accept a new organ, a foreign organ from another body, so you don't have organ rejection, right? And we think that this drug will stop your body from rejecting these skin cells that it perceives as bad, but we know that it really isn't. So we're going to give that a shot, and we'll see how it goes. So I start taking this drug. I think I went back like every 2 weeks, and it got better. It went away. And they're like, look at that, it worked. I took the same drug. They pared down the dosage after a while, but I took it for a couple years, and then it was like, all right, all signs of this are gone. It's no longer a problem. I don't have this issue anymore. And so case closed on that one. Right. But I guarantee you that my case is documented. And that someday someone's going to walk in, and I'm just a number. They're not going to say, oh, well, Ryan had Pemphigus vulgaris. Let's try this stuff on this person. No, I'm just a number, and maybe I'm one of one. I don't know, but maybe I'm one of 100. But that is an experiment. They had a hypothesis. They tested that hypothesis by giving me a prescription to see if it worked. They proved the hypothesis true. That is the definition of the scientific process, and that is happening in medical professions and medical schools across the country every single day.
Yeah, I guess I'm wrong. Doctors aren't financially motivated. They don't push name brand drugs on you and prescribe the go-to treatment that you could just easily look up yourself and be like, that's what the treatment for this is.
Well, yeah, you're going to go with WebMD every time?
Okay. That's the fucking thing that they gave me for my high blood pressure was the first thing that comes up on an internet search when you say high blood pressure medicine. This is it. Okay. That's what everyone fucking takes for high blood pressure. There's no like, oh, why do you have high blood pressure? What else is going on here? Here's a pill. By the way, you're going to take this the rest of your fucking life.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what a doctor does. So and they prescribed me at first until I fucking bitched about it. The one that was like several $100s a month for the whatever version of the pill. And I had to like go through hoops to find out, oh, guess what? There's one that's $11 and it's the same fucking thing. That's not what they prescribed to me. It's
called a generic drug. Yeah. And so
it wasn't even just generic, but anyway.
So I've had the same, not a problem, but I've had the same thing, mainly with the kids when they were little. I had 2 of the 3 had bad ear infections all the time. And 2 of them had to have tubes in their ears. And so we would try all these different antibiotics. I think the majority of parents have to deal with that kind of crap with kids they get ear infections. And so they give you these antibiotics, which I'm not a fan of antibiotics. I think that they fuck up a kid's immune system. So I think I like our pediatrician because historically he has kind of tried to use them as a last resort. Like, well, let's just see if it runs its course, and we don't want to give him too much junk. Right. And he's a good doctor. But there have been cases where those ear infections got so bad that we had to give them something. And we tried things and they didn't work. And we tried the next thing and it didn't work. And then sometimes it got to the point where like, well, here's another antibiotic. There is no generic for it. Right. This is the only option you got. And so we had to pay a little bit extra for that one and hope that it worked. In some cases it didn't work and we wasted some money. But there's also been cases where, we've gone and they said, well, if as prescribed, it's going to cost you $80 because it's not covered by your insurance. But there's a generic or there's another brand or whatever that's chemically the exact same thing. And most cases, the pharmacist is like, we'll just give you that. In some cases, they have to confirm with the doctor. Right. But I have never run into an issue where I had to jump through hoops other than just saying, yeah, call the doctor and make it happen.
I mean, I didn't have to move a mountain, but I mean, it was a bit of a pain in the ass. It wasn't as simple as be like, oh, you've got this one. Yeah, I think everybody's probably had that where there was the name brand and the generic, and you just call and say, can I get the generic?
No, this was
more than that. But still, I'm just saying.
My wife seems to think that if you buy great value, let's say great value Advil or ibuprofen or Advil, ibuprofen. I mean, the exact chemical makeup.
Right.
The things, they're identical, except for maybe the stamp that's on the pill or the coating maybe.
Yeah.
Chemically the same thing. She swears that the Advil is better. And she's, well, why would they sell it if it's not better? Well, because people are suckers.
Yeah, well,
people are suckers. There's very few cases where I'm like, okay, that's better than that. I'm going to buy the name brand. Usually it's cereal. That's where it applies. But when it comes to drugs, I don't know. I
can't say I've ever noticed a difference in a name brand medicine versus a
if I take
generic.
Walgreens brand Tylenol, I feel it's the
I
same.
mean, when you're I hope when you're reading the ingredients and percentages on the back, it's
probably made the same
identical.
plant. Anyway.
Yeah, I just think, I mean, you mentioned the studies that go into it. I mean, how many of those studies are performed by the pharmaceutical companies?
Yeah.
And they're, of course, going to say, this is what we found, or, you should use this. This is the effectiveness. And how many times have we...
But the drug companies, as much as I don't want to defend the drug companies, here's my take on it.
Yeah.
So they want to find something that works. They desperately want to find something that works. They pour billions of dollars into R&D on new drugs. Mm-hmm. And all of that is for naught if they can't find something that actually is effective that they can get approved by the FDA or by the European, equivalent. So I don't think they're not trying to find things that aren't going to work. They're not, because they don't make any money if it doesn't work. Well, if it's not able to be proven to be effective, they are not going to be able to sell it.
I'm going to give two sides of that coin. So we've had certain epidemics over the years that have been mostly eradicated, right? Like polio,
smallpox,
right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That were really, really horrible diseases that killed millions and millions of people.
Smallpox is done.
Yeah, I guess
one of the very
part.
few. I think there's only 2 things that have been like eradicated.
Right,
like, done. We're done with that.
So I assume, presumably, some drug company came up with the cure for that. Maybe not. Maybe it was a scientist at a hospital somewhere.
Company,
I don't know. But
that might have been a research, scientist,
right. But so you could argue that, look, there's a case of, I assume, a drug company coming up with a product that eradicated this illness. So now there's nobody with polio or smallpox, and so they're not getting paid off of treatment for that. Though I assume there is still some vaccinations going on all over the world that they are making money on.
There's vaccinations, but maybe that wells run dry. They've made their money off of that, but that's why they move on to the next thing. Yeah. That's why they go try to tackle the next
flip side
monster.
Would be there's people who make the argument that specifically, I think you hear it with cancer treatments, that we could have eradicated, we could have figured out cures for cancer, but they make more money on treatments for cancer. They don't want it to go away. They don't want to eradicate things anymore. They want to treat those things.
Look,
do you think there's anything to that?
I like a good conspiracy theory as much as the next guy. I really do.
Yeah.
And there's a big part of me that wants to say, like, okay, I can see that. I go back to my earlier statement, though, that I think there's a faction of cancer researchers out there. This is not an earlier statement that I made, but the earlier statement was that doctors aren't out there to do any harm. They're out there to do good. By and large, doctors are out there to help.
But pharmaceutical companies are not doctors necessarily.
Certainly they are. The guys the scientists that are in those labs trying to figure out solutions are doctors. They are PhDs. Yeah. You call them Dr. So-and-so. They are maybe. They went to the same med school. They've just chosen a different profession. You can practice medicine in a family practice, or you can be a surgeon, or you can be a research physician, a research doctor, I guess. I don't know what the word I'm looking for there is. But anyway.
But that, I would say that you can have a doctorate in whatever, chemistry, biology, whatever, and be a research doctor in a lab and not be a medical doctor. You didn't go to med school to do that.
I think they do. I mean, you can be a chemist and have a PhD in chemistry. That's not going to med school.
Right.
You can have a PhD in Asian studies.
Yeah,
you can
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
So the person that has a PhD in biology or a PhD in what'd you say, chemistry? Not necessarily a medical doctor,
right?
An MD.
Absolutely, yeah. So but could still be working in a lab looking at
potentially, but I think the majority of those people are medical doctors. I think.
I don't know, so I can't say that's not true, but we should look that up, I guess.
Yeah. So anyway, what was I saying?
That
They're not out to do any harm.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was saying. What did you say before that? Research. Oh, so there's a faction of cancer researchers, I think. I don't know, but I think it's a fair assessment, that are out there looking at the overall cure for cancer and for various types of cancer, for rectal cancer, for breast cancer, for ovarian cancer, for whatever, right? There's a group of people out there looking for the cure. How do we make this a non-issue?
Right.
And then there's a large swath of researchers out there who are looking for things to treat existing cases.
Yeah.
There's prevent, treat, eradication, I guess, is probably, there's 3 different things that you could be looking at, right? How do we eradicate it, make it never happen again? How do we make that it's never going to happen again?
Right.
People are never going to get breast cancer. What do we do? And then there's, we can't fix that. So in the meantime, while those people are looking into ways to make it stop happening altogether, we got to figure out ways to fucking treat it, right? What did I say? Treat, eradicate, prevent, right?
That's
so
kind of like
the same thing. Eradication is maybe prevention is eradication, but like, if there's things that we know that we can do to prevent prostate cancer. You don't agree with those things. You're having a regular checkup and making sure that you have a normal prostate. Having a breast exam is going to prevent you from getting a full-blown case of breast cancer. If you notice a knot, if you notice a lump, you're going to be able to have that looked at and maybe removed before it becomes a cancerous issue.
Maybe,
I don't know. But those are the preventative things. And then, like that eradication, I look at that as like, you
didn't get it in the first place.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's just no risk. Whether I don't think it's a shot.
We figured out what was causing it and we got rid of that cause.
Or even if it's a fucking genetic change that we make in humans, it'd be like, from now on, when babies are in the womb, we're going to give them this shot, and then that kid is not going to have, or maybe they remove a genetic marker that predispositions someone for having cancer. I think that's probably a realistic thing, maybe in our lifetime, that they were able to decode the genome so that they could say, all right, well, we've discovered that this genetic marker is what causes cancer. Well, before the baby's conceived, we can just pluck that out of the fucking genome, artificially inseminate this egg, and off we go, and then implant the. And
I'm not
baby.
saying I absolutely believe that there's this deep-rooted conspiracy with all pharmaceutical companies. We could have cured cancer already.
Cured cancer, by the way, I'm not sure. But.
We could have cured it, but we're not going to because we make billions, trillions probably off of treating it. So I'm not saying I believe that.
So I think that the
when you're
pharmaceutical
talking
companies
about that kind of money, it's a little naive to think that that's absolutely not a possibility. I mean,
I won't say that it's absolutely not a possibility. I think that there are bad doctors. I know that there are bad doctors that are out there that are just trying to bilk everybody that they can out of money, just like there's bad lawyers, there's bad whatever, right? There's, you name it, there's bad people, and there's bad pharmaceutical companies that are doing stupid, and those have been litigated against a lot over the past 20 years or whatever. It infuriates me to watch commercials for these pharmaceutical companies, these big pharma, where, the commercials that we've all seen, there's like may cause, rectal seepage and, may cause this, but it's going to get rid of your headache, but your testicles are going to fall off and you're going to bleed from your eyeballs. So those kinds of, and that they're these really long commercials. Like they're a minute and a half long commercials. They're like a small sitcom. They can't be cheap to produce, let alone get them on the air. And it's like, this is a drug that is already developed and approved, FDA approved and that, but it kind of goes back to that they need to make that money back. They put all this money into R&D, and they have to market the shit out of it so that they can sell enough of it to make their money back. So I think that is a shady behavior. I think that the pharmaceutical companies should be regulated and not allowed to do that kind of stuff. I also think it results in a lot of false diagnoses, is that people watch these commercials that say, hey, you've been feeling sluggish, do you not have the vigor in the bedroom that you used to have? Well, try CockHard, and they're like, well, I must need that. And they go to their doctor and they say, Doc, I need CockHard. And he's like, well, why? Well, fuck, TV told me I needed it, so I need it. And the doctor, in some cases, if it's not a good doctor, is going to be like, all right, fucker, here you go. So make your dick hard, but it's not going to solve your problems. Your underlying problems are bigger than that. So that's bad. We don't need that kind of stuff. So I think that there should be the oversight on that, and we should, not allow these pharmaceutical companies to take advantage of the populace. But it doesn't mean that they're all bad.
No, and I don't think they're all bad.
They're doing good things. A lot of them are doing good research and developing good drugs. I don't know. I
guess just in general, I don't think all doctors are bad. I don't think all pharmaceutical companies are bad. I don't think it's all driven by money and greed, but I do think it is in some ways driven by money and greed. I do think that there are doctors who are misinformed by the pharmaceutical companies who are selling them and us products, it's in their best interest that we keep taking this stuff and they keep prescribing it. So they're not maliciously saying, here's what we're going to give them.
Well, that's why you should do your research.
They think they're doing the right thing.
Before you go and you literally put your life and your health in someone else's hands, you should know a little bit about that doctor.
Yeah.
Because the old joke goes, you know what they call the person that graduated at the bottom of their class in med school? They call him doctor. Yeah, so he's still a fucking doctor, and he's the worst one of his class. So you just be careful. Whenever you go choose your doctor, you might want to do a little research and see where did they go to college at. Did they go to, what did I say earlier? Upper Latvia Med School or whatever it was. Right. You don't want some fly-by-night dude. You want to be able to, you're not going to get his GPA, but you'll know that, all right, well, he did his residency here. He graduated from St. Louis University Med School, and he's been doing this for 20 years. And now there's all these websites out there where they rate doctors. I think that should be more prevalent, like the Yelp for doctors. Those, what do they call them? I forget. There's a bunch of websites out there that do that, though, and they're good. And I've checked them out from doctors that I go to. They're great.
Well,
you should definitely know who you're putting your life in the hands of, right? Mm-hmm. You shouldn't just give it over to anybody because there are bad people out there. But you shouldn't paint everybody with a broad brush and say doctors are only out there to make money.
I don't think I was doing that.
None of them.
No, but I also think, I don't think I was saying it that way, but I also think you shouldn't be so naive to just think that all doctors have my best interests in hand. And
I think the converse of that argument could also be argued, Jarod.
Yeah,
that you cannot be that naive to think that all doctors are out there to harm you.
I guess you weren't saying that they're all there to help, and I wasn't saying that they're all there to harm.
Right? You should, but I think the problem I have with what you're saying is that you're the stance that you're taking, that you're not going to have medical advice given to you. You don't. That you're not going to allow someone
that I won't have that. Okay.
You're not going to allow someone to give you medical advice because you think that there's a handful that might be doing bad stuff.
Yeah,
You've taken that stance.
Well, I go to the doctor. I got my blood pressure medicine.
Well, that's fairly new, though. You hadn't before.
In general, we don't go to the doctor very often. It has to be a clear case of whatever that we're going to go.
Right. Well,
yeah.
I would advise you, and I'm not a doctor, I'm just your friend. I would advise you to not trust WebMD. I don't give a shit if they're 1-for-1 for you now. That you're right. That your high blood pressure can be pretty easily explained, and the treatment program is pretty universal for most people.
Everybody's on the same thing.
But if all of a sudden one of your fucking testicles disappears, I wouldn't go to WebMD and say, "Hey, what happened to my left nut?"
That is the first thing I'm going to do. Let's go to that.
I would probably go to the emergency room and say, "Hey, I lost a nut, doc."
How does one testicle disappear?
So WebMD, my wife is terrible about it. Now she does go to the doctor, but her first line of diagnosis is often the internet, and there's no good that can come from self-diagnosing via WebMD. There's no good.
But I'll tell you what I do appreciate is being able to look up the drug that I was just prescribed and see all the side effects that are possible. And especially when I've experienced some of them that I was not told by my doctor when I started taking this, that this could happen. And I was like,
the pharmacist generally,
what is going on?
Generally, whenever you get your prescription, the pharmacist will be like, do you understand what the side effects are? There's documentation here. That's not a new law, but it's relative. I'd say the last 15 years. That's a new law, and that's why you have to have these consultation windows with the pharmacist now that they didn't used to do. And that's the pharmacist's job. Whenever they prescribe or whenever they fill the prescription, they're there to advise you. And also, but I would say that everybody should look at the drugs that they're taking and see what the side effects are, because there's bad shit. I know a person, I'm not going to say anything more than I know this person who was prescribed a great deal of pharmaceuticals to deal with a multitude of issues that were affecting them. And this what ended up being a cocktail of drugs that they were ingesting on a daily basis just wreaked havoc on them mentally and physically, and damn near ended their life. And they went to another doctor and they said, what do I do? How do I? And they said, well, number one, you stop taking 9 out of the 10 of these things. And why are you taking these? And it's because their doctor kept chasing whatever their problem was. And maybe they were giving them bad information, trying to elicit the right prescription because they wanted some. Some of the drugs were not stuff that are typically prescribed. It's like you go in and ask for these things. So if you, and also there's doctor shopping too, where people go around like, I want this, so I'm going to go to a doctor until I find the doctor that's going to give me that. So the patients can be just as bad as the doctors in some cases. But the advice from a non-doctor, but I play one on a podcast, it would be that to read the documentation and go to WebMD and research the drug. Right. Don't go to WebMD to diagnose why your butthole's bleeding. Go to your fucking doctor.
Sure, obviously. What I don't like, and it's going to sound like I'm calling you out, and I'm not. It's the general people in general that have this attitude, but it's when you bring up the notion that a doctor might be financially motivated in something, or that they might be told from the person that taught them, or the company that's their rep who comes by twice a month and gives them or sells them shit, that this is what's working right now with this. Oh, make sure, and it's flu season, make sure you get stocked up on blah, blah, blah. Like, when people look at you like you're crazy for suggesting that, like, of course not. Of course they have your best interests at heart.
I would say,
of course, I'll
stand
not
by
trying to sell you
what I
anything.
said before. There are certainly examples like that. There are certainly people, and then they're called, like I said, they're called bad doctors. And if there's professors out there teaching their med students that there's only one treatment or 2 treatments, and that you shouldn't explore further, you shouldn't do further research or consider other options, then that's called a bad professor. Okay. And if there's a pharmaceutical rep out there that's taking advantage of doctors or patients, then that typically is a bad pharmaceutical rep, and on and on and on. I can go to the pharmacist that's filling prescriptions that they shouldn't be filling for people who have maybe a dependency on opioids. That's a bad pharmacist.
Do you think there's a difference between it's almost the opposite, but between saying, okay, these are the only 2 treatments that work, don't look at anything else? Yeah, that sounds bizarre and crazy to think that way. But what if you said, this treatment works, there's nothing that can be wrong from it? Isn't that equally crazy? Like, it's crazy to say this is the only treatment that works, don't look at anything else. If you said this treatment only does this and there's nothing to show that there's any possibility that it might cause something like
a bad
autism or developmental disabilities or whatever, right?
The science doesn't back that up, I don't think, but maybe there's a lot of public,
when
hearsay.
People say nothing bad can come from getting this vaccination.
I don't know that I've ever heard someone say that there's nothing bad.
I mean,
I think that
that's the attitude that seems to be pervasive.
That's not what's, I don't know. Okay, maybe. But I don't think that's generally the case in the medical world. I'm not a doctor, like I said, but I don't think the majority of doctors out there saying that this, I'm going to give you this to treat that, and there's nothing bad that can happen.
Generally, there's a long list of side effects.
By
sure.
law, they are required to disclose these things, and if they don't, then the pharmacist is. There's rules. And if they don't follow those rules, then they could lose their license to practice medicine. But going back to the financial motivations of doctors, they're financially motivated. Yeah. They went to med school. They know that doctors make money. The majority of doctors are doing it not because, well, some of them, I think they maybe can genuinely say that they just really, they want to help people. Yeah. I think that there are a faction of doctors that generally want to help people. And those are the people that do things like Doctors Without Borders, and they go do things out of the goodness of their heart, and they don't ask for money in return, and they're just trying to help people. There's that, right? But there's a lot of doctors that became doctors because they wanted to have a boat. They wanted to have a mansion.
Right. And, their first year of college, they go, dude, you know how much you can make in your first year out of medical school?
Right. Your first year, not a lot, because you got to pay your student loans back. When you buy your
practice on
it. So
it's clearly money there.
There's a large financial motivator, certainly. I know that's difficult to argue against. Yeah. But I don't think that they need to do anything nefarious like what you're saying is potentially happening. in order to get rich. They can get rich all on their own. They can get rich just by doing the job within the bounds of the law. They can get very wealthy, and honestly, have sustained wealth and probably a higher potential for earning if they do things within the bounds of the law. As if they break the law, then they're going to potentially get a bad reputation. They're going to potentially lose their license to practice.
A surgeon is gonna make their money pretty much no matter what. There's gonna be whatever thing comes up, and they have to come in and perform surgery. Yeah. That guy, it doesn't have to promote this or push that or whatever, probably, or gal,
sure.
But your average hometown doctor's office,
general practitioner, internist,
they make their money off checkups and treatment of fairly minor illnesses and things, and they're prescribing medications and treatments of basic stuff. Now, if there's something serious, they're gonna probably send you another doctor or whatever, and you're gonna go get it looked at. They're gonna refer
you to a specialist. Yeah,
but they make money off encouraging people to come in regularly. And when they find whatever little thing, they're going to be like, oh, you need to take this and you need to take that. We're in a prescription society.
Sometimes. I have a doctor that, this is my second doctor. The one moved away. But the one that I have now, my regular general practitioner, he strongly advocates for solving problems through better health as opposed to medication. And some people aren't to be trusted like myself. So he, I have gout. I have cases of gout, which is arthritis. It's not as bad as it sounds for people that don't know what gout is. But basically, I've had it in my toes and shit like that. And they say, well, you could lose weight and stop drinking beer and stop eating cheeseburgers and eating fatty foods and eating shellfish and your gout will go away. And I said, okay, I'll work on that. And that was years ago, and it just kept coming back. And they're like, all right, well, you clearly can't be trusted, so here's this pill. The other solution is you take this pill for the rest of your life, and it prevents this buildup of uric acid in your blood. And so, but the first course of action was not to give me the drug. The first course of action is you need to try to resolve this by better eating habits and being a healthier person. Right. And that's what, in my opinion, all doctors should do. Now, they don't. They don't. A lot of them are very quick to prescribe and get that pad out quicker than shit, and they write the prescription and they just want to churn through you. Yeah. Like I said, that's a bad doctor. That's not a good doctor.
Well, it depends who you ask. Some people are like, he always gives me the right prescription. He always knows what's wrong with me or whatever. But I will say, so I'll give his name, Dr. Lattimore here in town. Not anymore, but he was, I don't know what you would call it. There's a name for the type of care he does. I can't remember. Shoot.
I just thought he was a general practitioner.
Well, right. But his methods generally are not prescribing stuff. It's more try to change your health lifestyle. Let's stretch this muscle out. Let's do this. Let's change this diet, or whatever, right? It's not prescribe in general.
Okay.
And he was my doctor for a little while, and I kind of appreciate. That's why I started going to him, because I heard that that's how he was. So
he's practicing again. It's over in St. Louis, but
he is. But now I'm not necessarily suggesting that this is why. But he, along with two other doctors from that office, had their contracts not renewed by the whatever you want to call it. I don't know.
They got bought by a larger entity, is what it was.
Yeah, but I mean, they worked for that entity for a while, and their contract was essentially terminated, and they were...
we don't know why.
I don't know why, but I have to kind of wonder if that might have played a
I would say it probably has more to do with business and leases and payouts and things like that than it does with how they practice medicine.
Could. I just have to wonder if the guy who's not prescribing stuff as often didn't have his contract.
Look, I go to the doctors over at St. Clair, over in Fenton, and it's... what is it? SSM system is the system, and there's a bunch of doctors there, and my whole family, my sister, my parents, my wife, my kids, all of us go to the same group. We go to different doctors, but they're all in the same friggin' building. They're all right there. And so my mom and my sister, I think they go to the same doctor, and happens to be a woman, but she's just a general practitioner. It just happenstance that she's a woman, but she is very much the type of doctor that does not prescribe, that advocates for you changing your habits. I go to a doctor who's kind of the same way. Maybe he's a little bit looser with willing to prescribe things, but you can also turn him down and say, no, I think I want to try to take this on my own.
Yeah.
And then I think my dad's doctor is a little bit more free with the meds, right? So SSM doesn't, as long as you're within the law and you're doing things the right, air quotes, right way, the medically right way, and you're not doing any harm to anybody, and you continue to bring in patients, and the patients like you, and they keep coming back, they're not going to fire you. So I don't know what medical group Doc was a part of, but I doubt that it had anything to do with the way he's practicing medicine. I think it all has. I think that's the side of medicine that a lot of people don't think about is the business side of it. Yeah. And how much of a pain in the ass it is. When my son, my oldest, was talking about going to med school, and he's changed his major now, he's going to law school, or pre-law. But when he was talking about being pre-med, everybody that I would tell that to that either was a doctor or knew a doctor, they would advise against it. I met what's his name, Paletta, the Cardinals team doctor, and I talked to him about it, and he's like, he goes, I wouldn't advise any kid to go into medicine nowadays, and it's because of the litigious society that we live in, and that if you give someone that prescription and it makes their nut disappear or whatever, or their butthole bleed, they're very quick to sue you, and even though you're doing everything right and you're not being, loose with your prescription pad, some crazy thing can happen, and it could end your career. And even if it doesn't, say nothing crazy happens, your insurance rates are through the roof, and it's almost it's very difficult to run a profitable practice. Now, Paletta's not doing too bad, but he's also a Cardinals team doctor, so he's getting some extra
I think he's
money
fine
on the side. But but I think
my nephew
there's a lot of people
was looking into being a chiropractor, and he met with a chiropractor at their office, and they same thing, advised against doing it. For the business side of it, they just said it's not worth it. All the financial issues make it difficult to
chiropractic medicine, if we could call it that. Is
it's not. They're not. I mean, are there any doctors? Are some of them a doctor?
I don't know.
I was going to say they're not, and then I thought, well, maybe some of them are. I don't know.
I don't know. And I know there's a difference. I know they're not MDs.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how it all works. I'll say this. I've had a couple of great chiropractors where it's like, oh my God, they were perfect. The perfect balance of, I'm going to give you this ultrasonic therapy on your back muscles so that you don't have spasms anymore. And, I'm going to adjust your spine. I'm going to pop your neck and all this shit. And then I'm going to see you in 2 weeks. We'll do it again. And then we're done with you.
Right.
And then I've had others, because that guy, he was the best. That guy retired. And I've had others who I go in, they do the ultrasonic and they do the adjustment. They do a decent job. But then they want to give me a fucking fistful of horse pills to take that makes my piss smell funny. And they don't really do anything except make my piss smell funny. And that I want no part of that. The first one I went to after that guy retired, I spent a fortune. So the visit was covered by insurance, but I spent a fortune on these weird ass pills. And I don't know why I thought like, oh, this is a good idea.
Was it supposed to be like a muscle relaxant or something?
They were all natural remedies. So but that's how that chiropractor, that's what they were doing. They were advocating for these all natural herbal type remedies. But these pills were like the size of a small child, and and they're saying like, oh, take 4 of these, and it's like, what the fuck am I doing here? Could barely even swallow the damn things. So that ships. I found another one that was a little bit better, but there's a new school. I think this is all just based on my experience. I could be completely off on this, but there's a new school of chiropractors and there's an old school of chiropractors. The guy that I liked was clearly old school. He's probably dead now. And it was, just like, I'm gonna pop your shit. I'm gonna maybe give you some some electrical stimulus to your muscles, and you're gonna be on your way. And then now these new guys, they're trying to.
I've seen a video
trying to lock you in.
Treatment. This person, they weren't deformed or anything, but you could clearly tell when filmed, at their correct angle and all this, that their hips were out of alignment, their shoulders were, and when it affected their walk, their gait, and definitely they were like sore and in pain. And this doctor, in a matter of, I would guess something like a half an hour or whatever, popping this, shifting that, pushing here or whatever, And the next thing they know, they stand up and their hips are straight, and their shoulders are straight, and they're walking fine.
Yeah.
That, to me,
amazing.
is legitimate treatment.
I think so, too.
But I do think there's some of this is like, okay, we're going to pop your back and this and that, and you feel it, and
right.
for that moment, it feels great, but then like 2 weeks later, you're sore again, you're stiff, it didn't fix anything.
You could pop your back and it didn't really adjust anything.
Right.
It's just
we all can pop our back just by twisting.
Right.
Yeah.
So
there's a difference.
There definitely is. And I think that there's good chiropractors, there's bad ones, but I know
ours is really nice.
Makes me want to go to the chiropractor, honestly, because I've seen a lot of those same type of videos where, they make these adjustments and these people are suddenly, a whole lot healthier, feel a whole lot better. There's quacks. I can't believe I haven't told this story. I used to, have I told you about this? The lady that I used to work with that used to wear this pendant around her neck.
Yes, you did.
I don't think have I told it on the podcast?
I'm not sure.
I don't think
I
have.
have.
Well, I don't know much about it. I think it was started with a Q, or maybe it was called like a Q necklace or something like that. But it was like this not diamond, like a triangular plastic thing. And I guess they had different grades of them too. Like you could buy a fancier one that was like gold or something like that too. But it was like $100 for the cheapest one or whatever. Yeah. And I guess there was a piece of copper inside of it, like a coil of copper. And we've seen the copper bracelets that like the golfers wear and stuff like that are supposed to help with joint pain and arthritis and that. Yeah. But that was not the premise. The premise was that this was going to block radio waves or just bad fucking juju from your electronic devices, like your computer that you sit in front of. And she's a sweetheart of a person and a friend. So I don't want to, and she doesn't listen, I don't think, but I don't want to rag her too hard. But she was sold on this thing, and she bought them for herself, for her kids, and she was convinced that this was, and it was her chiropractor that sold them to her.
Right.
She was convinced that this was going to make her healthier. And when I saw that she was wearing this thing, I was like, what's that? And she tells me, and I'm like, huh. So I start Googling and I look it up. I'm like, I don't think that's legitimate. And she would just dismiss what I said. I'm like, whatever. If it's working for you, it's working for you. So another guy that works, we kept asking questions, not trying to be dicks about it, but just wanting to learn more, wanting to figure out like, why is she so convinced? Because she's a smart person. How could you be so convinced that this thing was actually working? And I said, so what, is there any maintenance to it? And she's like, well, yeah, I have to get it recharged periodically.
Right.
And we're like, well, okay, how does that work? Recharged? I mean, is it like is there a plug for it? I mean, do you have an adapter?
USB?
And she's like, no, I take it to the chiropractor and he puts it in this box. So when I show up, I give him the necklace, he puts it in a box, and whenever I am ready to leave, he gives it back to me and it's recharged. And I was like, what's this? What's this fucking box look like? What's going on in the box? What's in the box?
Right.
So she couldn't explain it to me. So we made a took a tissue box and we like wrote on it like necklace recharge or something and put it on her desk one day just to mess with her. We were kind of mean.
So some people think I'm crazy, and then there's that.
And that is crazy. But they sold a shitload of those necklaces, and I bet you, I don't believe it. I think it's a placebo effect or something like that. But I'll bet you there's a bunch of people out there that completely
swear by it.
Yeah. Like, oh my God, since I started wearing this, it changed my life. And who am I to judge? If it's working for you, it's working for you.
Do you know Dr. Tanous here in town?
I'm familiar with his
work. Yeah.
I know him. He's kind of a kooky dude too.
Yeah. I've never gone to his office. I've never dealt with him in any way, but my father-in-law is a diehard patient.
Fan.
Yeah, big fan. Has been going to him
He's
for
like
years and years.
Holistic doctor.
Honestly, I don't even know what you call
homeopathic medicine.
I would say homeopathic, but I don't even know. There's probably a different term for it. It's typically strange treat. It can be anything from, okay, here's a tube of this gel and you put it on your finger and it's going to heal the cut, right? Okay, fine. Neosporin basically, but it's something else. And it seems to work. But it might be weird stuff like,
bat semen.
Like
that's how coronavirus started.
Yeah, right. You've got, I'm just going to make something up. I don't know. Headaches. Not even that. Something different. And okay, here's what you're going to do. I need you to lift your left arm and I'm going to push down on it while you're lifting. And okay, we're done. What just happened? No, it's good now. Whatever that thing was is fixed. And you're like, of course it can't be fixed. All he did was push on my arm while I was lifting it or whatever.
And has your father-in-law
he swears
said
by it.
That actually that he has seen results from
that. Now, is it in his head?
Yeah, maybe
I kind of think it might be.
Yeah, who knows?
I think sometimes shit just heals after time, and you happen to go to this guy's office after 4 or 5 days, and it was already healing. Or this guy's onto something. Like I said, there's treatments out there that aren't, medicine. But anyway, it's some of it's pretty crazy. It's hard to believe. But
I wonder, does he have probably has a PhD in something? Is he a medical doctor? Is he an MD?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess to each their own.
Okay, I want to change directions, but it's along the same lines. We're about an hour in. People are tired of hearing us yell at each other about medicine, so.
I'm having a blast.
Yeah,
so I would advise everybody that's listening to let us know how you feel about this topic before Jared gets on to the next topic.
Give your thoughts on Jared's medical diagnosis. Okay. Along the same lines of conspiracy and money, we are in the middle of Super Tuesday. The Democrats are trying to figure out.
I guess we got to kind of hit that now, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, we might
can't really save it for a next one because that'd be too late, and Super Tuesday's well over at that point.
Now, I don't necessarily see this as a conspiracy. It's just strategy. It's not even a hidden thing, but some people are calling it a conspiracy. That Buttigieg, and who else dropped out? I forget.
Klobuchar.
Yes, Klobuchar dropped out the day before Super Tuesday. The conspiracy being that the DNC, the Democrats, paid them off to get out so that Biden would get those delegates.
Yeah.
So some part of why I said it's not a conspiracy, that's just strategy. If they thought they couldn't win and they want one of their candidates to be strong enough to beat Trump, then they should fall on the sword and get out now so that those delegates can go to the person that they think should get it. That's the sort of noble above the table.
Yeah.
But then, even if that is the case, then the question is like, well, okay, then why didn't Warren get out? Why didn't everybody get out?
Because she supports Bernie.
Right.
So her leaving would not help. Well, anybody could help Bernie.
It could. But yeah, I mean, you could argue that. Like, if she thinks she can't win and some of her supporters would go to Bernie, why didn't she get out?
I don't know.
Maybe she didn't take the payoff.
She's also
basically the argument.
Probably maybe considered a little bit selfish and thinks that she might be a little delusional, thinking that she's still got a chance. I think mathematically there's no chance in hell. And same with Bloomberg. There's not a whole lot of chance for him, mathematically speaking. But I don't think there's a conspiracy here much. Maybe there's a little, but I think it's in the light of day they're doing this shit. I mean,
basically.
The DNC is not. I don't think they're hiding.
They're not hiding that they don't want Bernie to get.
Yeah, it's pretty apparent what's going on.
And explain that to me. So I get it, but I don't get it. How much control do they have? Obviously, they don't want Bernie to win the nomination, right?
It certainly seems that way. Yeah.
If that's the case, don't they have any control over him running and being a part of this race at all?
Well,
then can't they just say no? Get out of here.
It's the will of the people, right? Then if you that's what happened in 2016. Whenever they basically said no, fuck you, it's Hillary's turn,
right?
And they let her and they gave her the nomination. Arguably, that's what a lot of Bernie supporters would say that it was rigged in her favor. And who am I to say that it wasn't? I don't know. Doesn't surprise me. There's a lot of weird shit going on in that election. So.
But presumably you have to have some kind of approval from the convention to even run at all. Like, anyone can do it?
Yeah, I mean, if you got the money and you want to put your name in the hat, I think you have to get, in order to get like on ballots, you have to have petitions signed. I mean, that's the same with like if you're running for a county councilman seat, you have to go around and get a petition signed or get a so that you'll show up on the ballot. It's not much different, just on a much grander scale for a national election like this to be able to be.
I guess I just kind of figured there must have been some kind of screening process, and if they didn't want him in it at all, they shouldn't have let him in.
No, I think now the oddities come in to what we're heading. I don't know what the numbers are right now. I just tried to look on my phone real quick to see where I saw that Biden was giving a speech regarding some victories he had, but I don't know what the numbers are and what it's looking like as far as the final tally goes. And we may not know because everything's a little bit shady. Bernie's got Colorado, Texas, Vermont, Biden.
I'm refreshing, sorry.
Colorado, Texas, Utah, Vermont. Biden's got Alabama, Arkansas, Maine, Maryland. No, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Maine, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Virginia. So click on the delegate count.
Yeah, that's where I was just at.
So
Biden's
looking good. So even, I still think, though, that Bernie had a bunch. He was in the lead going into this. That the argument that a lot of folks are making is that there's not going to be a plurality when it's all said and done. That neither will have enough to secure the nomination, which means that it'll be a brokered convention, which means that then the DNC can do a whole kinds of crazy, shady shit, and they can, they just start twisting things.
Yeah.
So I don't know enough about any of that stuff to really get into it too much. I think it's interesting as hell to watch this play out because, look, and I don't think it's any secret where I stand politically on these things.
Sure.
But Trump's certainly got his flaws. He's not the perfect candidate. He's not the perfect president by any means. But we're not talking about Trump right now. We're going to talk about Biden and Bernie and the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Biden. I mean, one of the headlines I saw is like, apparently Biden is gaffe proof. The guy can fuck up.
Yeah,
anything,
I don't understand
and nobody says boo about it. I mean, there's obviously someone saying it, but it just skates right by. Nobody seems to give a shit. If Trump or if fuck anybody were to say those same things, arguably if Buttigieg or if Warren were to say these same things, it'd be front page. They'd be walked off the stage.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, Joe Biden is somehow protected.
It's because they think he's their best chance at winning the next election.
The media, I think,
so
is
it doesn't
on
matter
board
what he does.
The media is all about beating Trump. They will do anything to take their great hope, which is the only thing they got left is Joe Biden is their hope, and they're going to try to protect him as much as they can to make sure that he's got his best chance as possible to beat Trump.
Yeah.
So you got Biden, who talks about kids rubbing his legs and sitting on his lap and this weird shit. I mean, he's clearly fucking out there. And he is single-handedly keeping the Botox industry on his fucking feet. He looks great. I'll give him all the credit in the world.
Sure.
I mean, he looks good for 78 years old, but I don't think he can smile, and I'm not sure he knows where he's at. But he looks good, and that's really all that matters.
Sure.
So good for Joe.
Yep.
They ought to just keep putting other people up to talk for him and just let him stand in the back and nod because, God knows what he's going to say. And don't let him around any fucking children, for Christ's sake. I mean, anyways.
At least not in shorts.
Definitely not. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. And then you got Bernie.
Yeah.
And Bernie, less than 6 months ago, had a heart attack.
Well, yeah, that's the least of our concerns.
What the fuck are we doing here? Yeah. Now, in 16, the conversation was about Trump, that he's got a weight problem and that is he healthy? His doctor's lying to us. There's no way that he's healthy. Look at how fat he is. Look at how he looks in his tennis outfit. I mean, they wanted to point every finger they could at this guy about his health, but yet we're going to just go ahead and overlook the fact that fucking Bernie had a heart attack less than a year ago, less than 6 months ago. We're just going to gloss over that altogether. And that clearly Joe Biden seems to be a bit senile, a little bit, just a little bit. Maybe Trump is too. Like I said, we're not talking about him right now. Well, Trump's got his own problems. We could have that conversation another day.
I saw some quotes. I read some quotes today from Hillary, where she was discussing Bernie and Biden, and basically, I think she said, "What is it? Bernie's whole campaign is baloney." I think she said.
Yeah,
but anyway, when they were trying to get her to commit to giving her endorsement of a candidate, everybody assumes that's going to be Joe Biden, but
she didn't.
She was non-committal. Yeah, she's like, well, let's just wait and see how things play out. But she's like, she basically said, and I'm paraphrasing here, we're just going to do whatever we have to do to get the current administration out. Like, that's the goal. I think she even said, quote, that's the goal. Which, that doesn't sound like shocking news to anybody.
No. Well, it's been their goal since.
But when you think about it, it's like
the last election.
The goal is not to get the best candidate for this country or to get, real change that we think is necessary for the betterment of the people or whatever, right? That's not the goal. Right. The goal is to get this guy and his administration out of office by any means necessary is basically what she's saying. Now, she didn't say that. I'm putting those words in her mouth, but that's what's inferred.
Right.
We're going to wait. We're going to screw over Bernie if we can, and we're going to try to get Biden in there. And if that doesn't work, then I guess we'll support Bernie if we have to. But whatever we got to do to get Trump out of office.
Right.
And it's just it's such a slimy way of going about it. It's like, who cares about the country's best interest? It's what can we do to get our agenda accomplished? It's just weird. It just seems weird, and nobody's calling them out on it.
Certainly. I'm looking at my phone because I saw something today, and I'm not going to be able to find it because I can't remember who posted it. But the person that posted it was a liberal. And it was something along the lines of, because I can't find it, I'll have to paraphrase. This election is not it's not about the perfect trip. It's not about it's kind of like being on a train platform and having to get to the next station no matter what it takes, right? And so you may not be able to find the perfect route, the perfect train that's the least crowded, or that's actually going to your destination first. It may make a couple stops before you get there, but fuck it, you got to get on it because that's what it takes to get the job done. So I'm fucking it up completely. I don't remember exactly what it said, but it was like. But the point is that person is advocating for. What they're saying. I don't care if you like Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders at all. If you agree with me, and I hate Trump, then we need to vote for whoever the fuck the candidate is because we hate Trump that much. Yeah. And that's just a shallow, foolish way to but then again, I've heard an argument that was made about, well, that's what we did against Hillary.
I think
we voted for Trump, who we all held our nose and pulled the lever for Trump because we hated Hillary that much.
Now, I think that's for sure
partly why, I can't speak for everybody, but
partly why he got elected was because of the hate.
She was such a candidate, such a terrible candidate
for Hillary.
Yeah.
But there was a large group of people that liked the message he was saying, that liked the idea of how, whatever it has turned into now in his time in office, going into that, it was, we need to clean house.
Yeah.
This guy isn't a politician.
Swamp, right?
Yes, drain the swamp. Let's get a guy that's not a politician in office and not play all these games that we've seen played for decades now. Let's do that. Now, I don't necessarily think that's how it turned out. I think he's playing a lot of the same games that everybody else plays because you kind of have to. But I do think he's done some of that house cleaning, and he's tried to do some of the things that he said he was going to do. But a lot of the reason he got elected was because people didn't want another career politician in the White House.
Well, you got to wonder. So, I mean, a lot of people say, like, well, can you imagine what Trump could have accomplished if he didn't have all these impediments in his way? If he wasn't constantly being investigated and he wasn't constantly being accused of colluding with the Russians or diddling some girl or whatever. I mean, they just keep rolling out things to knock him down. He's a racist. He's a homophobe. He's a yada, 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 which that's, again, another conversation for another day. If he didn't have all these things being thrown at him and he was treated like Obama was, and even though there are people in the Senate that disagree with him and in the House that disagree with him, they were still able to find compromise on a lot of things.
Yep.
And now, it wasn't great with Obama, but there was still compromise. Yeah. It happened. It was better with Bush. It was even better with Clinton. It was even better as we go back in time. There was more bipartisanship that happened. Yeah. We're in a really bad situation right now. But anyway, if everybody would stay the fuck out of his way and let him and judge the ideas and judge the legislation and judge his work based on its merit and not the fact that the orange guy promoted it, how much better would we be right now? I think that we would be in a pretty good spot. The thing that scares me, I'm kind of going around in circles here. The thing that scares me is this what's going to happen? So the next time, let's say Trump doesn't win re-election, Joe Biden wins. In 4 years, we have another election, and I don't know who runs. Marco Rubio runs again, or Ted Cruz runs again, and now these guys are career politicians, liked by both sides, I think, to some degree, and should be respected within the ranks. And let's say Ted Cruz gets elected. Is he going to get the Trump treatment, where he's just going to have the constant obstruction that is going on right now? Is that the approach that the Democrats are going to take with every Republican president from here until eternity?
So part of me wants to say I can't imagine that playing out the way it has played out with Trump, but it's actually entirely possible
Well,
now that they know
that
this is a way. Yeah,
that it's ugly.
We'll see if it works.
Right.
I guess
it's ugly. It's not fun. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's not making any progress. So for progressives wanting to make progress, they certainly haven't in the past 3 years. But I think in their credit, I guess, is it's stopping him from making progress, and that's all that they're interested in, is preventing him from being successful at every turn.
Yeah,
which that was the argument made when Obama won, that a lot of Republicans are like, were accused of rooting against Obama. They wanted him to fail at all cost, and that's bad. We shouldn't do that. As Americans, we should root for the success of our country, and that means rooting for our president to be successful, or our legislators to get things promoted that help the greater good. That's not what's going on here. It's ugly.
Right.
It's an ugly world.
So
It's enough about politics, isn't it?
Well, okay, fine.
What else you got?
I was going to say, on the radio this morning, the show I listen to, it's sports talk. They rarely talk about politics, but being Super Tuesday, it came up, and this one particular guy was going off on this rant about how all these politicians are in it for the money, because clearly at the top levels, there's so much money to be made. And he basically was saying, why is it that these guys go in office making, whatever, $170,000 a year or whatever it is, and they come out 4 years later or 8 years later and their net worth is $100 million. Like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
And it isn't because they wrote a book or whatever, right? That happens later.
Yeah.
So, he's like, there's a lot of money being changing hands with these politicians, not even just the president, congressmen and senators and everybody. Yeah. In fact, I guess it was fairly recently, didn't they have to create laws about insider trading of congressmen and stuff because they were able to know what was going on based on
those
laws that they enacted?
I think that's, maybe there's a
enforcement,
better enforcement of those laws.
Right. But clearly there's a lot of opportunity for money to be made as politicians. And this guy's whole argument was just basically, that's why a lot of these people are in it. So it shouldn't surprise you if the convention comes along and says, hey, we're going to give you $1 million to step aside and not, whatever. And that you would take it because you don't care about.
Well, right now is when the brokering really happens among the Democrats, right? So you have Buttigieg and what's the other fucker? Klobuchar. Those are the ones that quit. Who's the other dude that everybody forgets about that quit too? That wasn't even really tracking.
Right. He's not even on this list.
He's not even showing up. NBC just said, fuck that guy. Anyway, but all of these folks that are now putting their support, same with Beto O'Rourke. He came back into the news again recently. They're all jockeying for position in the next. They're looking for a cabinet position. They're looking for an ambassadorship or something like that. So that's where we get into now, is like all these people that have bailed. Now they're going to come to the support of Joe Biden, and don't think they're doing it out of the kindness of their fucking heart. They're doing it because they're like, all right, Joe, I got your back, but you're going to take care of me. The biggest question, again, going in circles here, but the biggest question about this whole thing is what you said earlier about Hillary not being non-committal, and the fact that Barack Obama hasn't come out and supported his boy Joe. Yeah. Like, what the fuck? Right. Why not? I mean, why? Who else are they going to support? And it's like, it is weird, right? Like, if not Joe and if not Bernie, who the fuck else is Barack Obama going to support? What are they waiting for, right? What's he waiting for? And also, even if you don't want to give the official endorsement where you want to come out and like, I'm Barack Obama and I approve this message. Joe Biden's my guy. He's my homie. Let's go, Joe. Yeah. Even if you just want to come out and with a tweet that says, hey, wishing Joe Biden, my former vice president, all the best in today's primaries. Right. Go get him, Joe. Not an official endorsement, just why do you think we haven't seen it? I don't know. I have no idea. I think it's crazy. Yeah. But I think that how much how much would he gain by having Obama come out and endorse it? It would be the end of it. It'd be the end of it. The primaries would be over. But now it's probably too late. It's arguably too late for Obama to come in, because I don't know how the rest of it's going to pan out. But I don't know what how the math works out. I think the most interesting scenario is that this whole brokered convention thing where neither Biden or Bernie get enough to put him over the edge. So then they go to, I guess they call it the second ballot.
Yeah.
And it's just, it gets real convoluted at that point where there's, I guess, a potential. There's some conspiratorial individuals out there that say that there's a potential that the DNC could say, well, no, fuck you two. We're putting Hillary back up there again, which is crazy. Why would they do that? She was a terrible candidate last time. Why would they let her do it again?
I think she thinks she could win again if she ran. That people learned their lesson from getting Trump elected, and some of those people would come crawling back to her.
Yeah,
I don't think it's true, but I think she believes that. Now, okay, can you discuss the fact that Bernie's not currently leading in delegates, but everybody seems to think unless a few...
He was before tonight, I think.
Yeah, unless a couple specific things happen, he's almost like a mathematical certainty, depending on the states that he wins or whatever.
Right.
So that's why they're doing all this jockeying of, okay, I'm going to drop out.
That webpage before where it said the states that they had won. Go back.
Yep.
There you go.
Okay, let me refresh. Okay, so
what I heard was, as it relates to California,
yes,
if Joe Biden doesn't, and Bernie's favored to kind of take California, that it's a given that he's going to win the majority. But if Joe Biden can get at least 15% of the vote, then he gets at least a portion of the delegates. If he doesn't get 15%, then Bernie kind of sweeps the whole shit thing. And then Joe's got a problem.
Yeah.
So
I've heard that too. Like California is one of the, and they said they're late to
8 o'clock, right? So they're counting.
But okay, so what I'm getting at is if Bernie is, let's say he gets this insurmountable lead, then is it that the party thinks that he can't beat Trump, so we don't want him to be the nominee, even though he earns the nominee with the most votes, right? You would think the guy with the most votes has the most likelihood of beating the...
So he's got
Trump.
The most Democratic support. He's got the most Democrats to support him. But the biggest thing about these elections that I think a lot of people, even the politicians, I mean, if it's Trump or if it's Bernie or if it's Joe or if it's George W. Bush, Al Gore, they all struggle with making that shift whenever the primary's over to the general election. And they have to be able to pivot from the leftist propaganda or the far right Christian conservative propaganda to that more centrist tone. Joe can do that. I don't think he's ever gone too far to, in one direction. So, because nobody knows what the fuck he's talking about half the time. So he can pretty easily shift to, hey, look, I'm not going to do anything too crazy. I'm Joe. I'm your buddy. Meanwhile, Bernie has a 40, 50-year track record of being a radical socialist, democratic socialist, leftist who wants to take your money and give it to some other people. And he's unabashed about it. I mean, he is not trying to hide it. He's on record countless time and time again as being a socialist, and in some cases having supported communist regimes. I mean, he's praised Castro, he's praised the Russians, the communist Russians. He, not whole across the board praised them, but he's praised certain elements of their styles. It's hard to pivot back from that. So I think that's what the Democrats see is that, like, how are we going to get this guy to get?
Why is he getting so much love?
Because again, that the Bernie Bros and that far left, that maybe not even the far left, maybe maybe it's about 25% from the left in that have no problem with what he's saying, and they love it.
They want the free stuff. It's
they want the free stuff, and they want to feel good about. They want to feel good about helping people, and they're woke.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I want to. Yeah, it's not fair.
It's okay to take my money to give to other people because that's what's good for humanity.
I don't think there's a whole lot of rich people that are going to support Bernie, like really rich people, that are going to support him because this realistically, they don't want to give their money up. I think it's the youths.
You would think that given that he seems to have so much momentum, he's getting a lot of support with these delegates.
But you look at the states,
the party would just say, look, let's run with that. Let's build off that. Let's try to get...
Also, I think it's manageability. I think that the party looks at it like, can we... So it's the same problem that the Republicans had with Trump. It's like, the Republican establishment didn't want Trump in 2016 because they didn't think that they could manage him. They didn't think that they could get him to kind of walk the national line because they don't want to hurt all the down ticket races. They don't want to hurt all the senators and reps. They want to be able to help them. So you got to be able to corral the top of the ticket and make sure that he's on the right, or she is on the right path. Otherwise, you're going to fuck up everybody else down the road. Bernie is, I've heard it to be argued that if he were the nominee, it would destroy a bunch of down ticket races because that now the Democratic Party identifies more as a socialist party because that's how he's going to paint it. And they don't think, they being the Democratic establishment doesn't think that they can shape his candidacy any differently. It's just too hard to get him.
I'm surprised, honestly, when you start throwing around terms like socialism, socialist, and all this, taking from openly, just we're going to take money from people and give it to other people. I can't believe he's getting as much support as he is.
What's funny is that there's polls out there that ask people, ask them a lot of questions about, who do they support and where do they stand. But then they ask the questions like, how do you feel about, socialism?
Yeah.
Or democratic socialism? And there's, I don't know the numbers, but I've seen these headlines
I saw that too.
That are like, it's all right.
It was like 3 out of 4 people said they would vote for a socialist. I'm like, what?
Registered Democrats or something like that, But it's just crazy how that has become an acceptable term. It also is telling about how uneducated we are and how much people don't read. And that if you were to really dig a little bit deeper, you'd see the problems with socialism.
Well, and I do think, to his credit, the term socialism can mean a lot of different things. There are different types of socialism with different agendas and different goals and whatever. And there are different types of socialist parties around the country, around the world, right? So to say that, I know what socialism is like a naive statement because it's not always the same thing.
Well, he's pointed out specifically. He's like, well, we want the type of socialism that's in Sweden and that's in, and so he's calling out
right. He's not saying
styles
Stalin
of socialism
or whatever, right? But we grew up in a time where socialism and communism were like 4-letter words. They are, but apparently not as much. People are like on board with it.
People are a bit delusional about what it really means. And even if you look at these Nordic countries where they claim that socialism is prevalent, they're no longer practicing socialism in the way that the proponents are here in the States. They did. And it was a failed experiment. And there's elements of it that have kind of carried through. There's certain programs that have, like, okay, well, that was working. We're going to hold on to that one. So, like, Sweden, I think, is probably the best example where they've taken, they tried it. It didn't work. Overall didn't work. But then they've gone back to more of a democracy. And there are elements of their socialist times that have remained. But they work. Yeah. Independently, they work. But as an overall system, it did not work, and it hasn't worked. Venezuela is another example.
Why is anybody pointing that out? This doesn't work
because I don't want to sound, there's the media is lying to you. Where do you get your information from? Not you. So I'm just saying the masses. Where does everybody get their information from?
I did get my coronavirus death totals from NBC News, and Ryan scoffed at it.
Well, because what I read earlier was different,
right.
And the numbers updated since. So I went to. Yeah. By the way, I recommend. What was the website? It was, you read it to me. It was like
Drudge Report.
No, the link to the sick map or whatever. It was like.
Well, this is ArcGIS. That's a brand, but
okay.
I don't know who made it,
but yeah. Say what you will about the Drudge Report, but they have a link to this site called arcgis.com, and it has all these statistics across the globe for.
It's actually really cool
for cases of the COVID-19 virus, and it's neat. It's not neat. It's people are dying,
awful.
but it's interesting
cool.
statistics, and
it's informative.
It doesn't give you any
graphical.
Yeah, and it doesn't give you any.
There's no bias.
Yeah, it's just numbers,
it's just facts.
Like,
numbers.
You can look at the. So
presumably, there's probably some bias here. They may be leaving something out.
Maybe, but it's just numbers. Like confirmed cases,
numbers,
meaning they tested them, they swabbed their nose or whatever, and they tested
it's
positive
a map
for it.
with
But one of the theories was that I was talking about earlier about tropical regions, right? If you go south of the equator, there are very few cases down there, which means it means a lot. It could mean a lot of things, but it means that maybe this virus can't survive in subtropical climates,
right?
Which goes with the influenza and how we in the summertime we typically don't have a lot of flu cases because it's just not an environment that's conducive to the transmission of the flu virus.
Yeah.
So that bodes well for the next couple months. We should see a definite downturn. Doesn't mean it can't come back next fall when weather shifts back again. But anyway, it's interesting statistics. I forget where I was going with it. I went all around the world on this thing, but
well, we need to wrap it up anyway. But
where do you get your news?
Oh yeah,
that's where we're going with. Is that where do you get your news about any of this stuff, about politics and I think more people get their news from Comedy Central and Twitter and YouTube commentators or
that
podcasts.
Pisses me off like nothing else when people use Comedy Central as their source of news information.
Well, but even if you use
Daily Report or whatever,
if you use the Drudge Report, or you use Huffington Post, or you use Breitbart, or you use Salon.com, every single one of those news outlets is biased in one way or the other, and you shouldn't trust them.
Right.
There's a website that's called allsides.com. Go there real quick.
Well, just real quick, I want to point out what I have as my quote unquote homepage. It's just basically got several different little news feeds or whatever. I have CNN and Fox News.
That's good.
I look at them both.
So go to allsides.com.
Okay, all sides.
And I would recommend that everybody does. And it's a neat site. I'm not saying it should be your number one source for all news, but what it does do is it provides a story. Well, let's say it's Biden's latest gaffe. But it'll provide you with three stories here. We'll use this as an example.
Oh yeah, from the center, from the left, from the right.
So election security, a focus on Super Tuesday, and it gives you from the center a headline from Reuters, and it says U.S. national security agencies gathered to combat potential election interference, and that's from the center. And it's voted on by the readers too. You can go in there and you can say,
how do you know that what they're presenting is
I think they present like an original algorithm, and then it's tweaked as people come in and they're like, no, I think that's more for
Reuters, Politico.
So then Politico is from the left, and the same story, but it says Super Tuesday brings a supersized election security challenge.
Yeah,
I can't read the one from the right, but so the right is from which
It's
source?
Looking as though one Super Tuesday state is setting itself up for voter fraud, and that is Town Hall.
Right, so all
the way to the right.
That's not the best example of the polarity of these opinions, but
that is an interesting.
There's certain stories where it's like you'll read the headlines across the center, right, left, and it's the same exact story that they're reporting on, and the headline, it couldn't be more different. And so, I would just encourage everybody to go and read all these sides. That's why it's called allsides.com. I'm not saying it's a perfect science. I'm not saying it's the end-all, be-all source for your news, but it's a hell of a lot better than getting it from Trevor Noah or from Jon Stewart in the past.
Right.
Or Twitter, or two assholes on a podcast. Go read more, because honestly,
but if you had to just pick one thing, I feel like if you just listen to this podcast, you're going to get what you need. You're going to get all sides, and nice,
typically
fair and balanced. Yep. So if you only got time for one source of information, get a load of this.
Exactly.
All right. Along those lines, we got to go. So
we got shit to do.
You got shit to do. You've been listening to us dumbasses for an hour and a half.
No, you're probably at work by now, or you've been there for a while.
They've already come home,
or you got to run down and grab your lunch because
right,
because it's that time of day. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you listening to my crazy antics about the medicine and medical industry, and Ryan's crazy antics about the left and the right.
Okay.
And all sides.
Crazy antics. Yeah. Yeah.
And
this has been an interesting one. I despite my aggravation in my voice, I'm not mad at you about your opinions.
He is. I think he's going to go home and just be like, what a dumbass.
Well, I'll tell you that now. I told you earlier before we even record. I'm like, I don't think you're thinking about this. But I think that's kind of the beauty of the conversation.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the last one we had about religion, and
which I'm going to follow up on in our next episode. Just briefly, we won't go into it.
But I'm happy to have the conversation as long as it's a reasonable, friendly banter.
Yeah.
And our lovely associate producer has entered the building. It must mean it's time for us to shut it down because we're getting too loud. We're disturbing the dog.
It's time for bed. All right. Well, thanks for listening and subscribing and downloading.
Send us an email. loadthispodcast@gmail.com.
Right. Find us on Instagram, hopefully.
At Load This Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Yeah.
And I need to get the password from you again for the Gmail because like my phone reset and I forgot it. So, but I don't know if anybody's sending us stuff.
Maybe I'll give it to you.
But definitely send us an email. Let us know your thoughts on any of these topics. And tell Jarod that Ryan's right and he's wrong.
Let us know if you ever got the flu after getting the flu vaccine.
Because that's the definitive answer
There's
to all
some
questions.
Latin phrase that says, this is fucking right. All right. Again, thanks for listening. Until next time, I'm Jarod.
I'm Ryan.
Get a load of this. I don't know what you place it.
It's in humanity. Why would all these people want to do me harm? And if you can't trust, I can't hear nothing. If you can't trust, I don't know. I mean, what do you trust?
Not much. Why would you?
You should. Well, someday you're going to be really sick, and you're going to need to trust someone.
I mean, I'm not saying I don't trust anyone.
Check.
But I think you're way too trusting.
Is this recording?
Yes, we are recording.
All right. Well, I don't think I'm too trusting. I think that it's definitely trust but verify. But when it comes to doctors, yes, the majority, the gross majority, like I said, 99%. Maybe it's a little bit less. Maybe it's 97. But the majority of doctors have taken the Hippocratic Oath. They adhere to it. They take it seriously. That they're not going to do anything to harm you. They're there to help you, and that they're and that.
But they may believe that that's what they're doing. But when they're being taught a certain way in school, and that's being
let's cover that again.
Informed by pharmaceuticals.
Say, and we're back. Do that.
All right,
because I want you to go over. I want you to go over what you think is happening in med school.
Okay.
Because that blows my mind.
I can't believe it blows your mind. It blows my mind that you're so shocked by this viewpoint. But okay, let's get into it.